Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Cool Colas here to bring you the hustler's perspective. So today, I wanted to get into a pretty interesting topic for you guys. I want to talk to you all about 6 different business ideas that even children can do. When a lot of you all think of business, you all think of adults, of course, but adults who are basically self-starters and have the ability to own something instead of being an employee, and they've kind of learned a system of making their own money. But what I want to stress here is the importance of people teaching their kids early on to be business-minded people and teaching them early on to be people who are who learn the value of owning something. And I think that it's important because with business, I think that the earlier that it's stressed to a child or to someone who's growing up, the sooner they're going to pick up those skills that they need to do well and to flourish and to innovate, and then to basically create their own like empire for themselves. So I think that you can't really underestimate children. In other words, I think that a lot of parents and people who raise children, they tend to talk to them at the level that they believe their children are at. But what if you just raise the bar? What if you taught them early on everything that you thought that they were capable of? So what if you taught them about being a business-minded person while they were children? A lot of people do it. I mean, there's a lot of very successful people who are firm believers in the fact that they want their children to be able to learn the value of owning something, or learn the value of being a business owner or entrepreneur. And there's a lot of like successful people, as far as like celebrities, like, you know, people like that, who feel that it's important to have your child slash offspring. I'm not going to say child, because sometimes, you know, us older people, we kind of need a way as well too. Their offspring, they need to give them a way to like flourish in an economy that isn't going to really do anything for them. So, you know, basically making the process of making your own way a little bit easier. I think that it's you know, I think there's something that can be said for someone wanting to like get it on their own, like figuring things out on their own, and that's cool. So I'm not knocking that, but I think that as a parent, if you're providing a way for your child, then you're allowing them to basically save time, where they can learn from you, and then they can kind of go on their own and do things on their own, and then eventually what they can do through hard work still, because you're going to need a hard work to do anything business wise anyway. Through hard work still, they're going to learn how to innovate faster. So like they could be young pretty much, and you know, have that business mindset, and they can continue to go far in life and then provide for their families as well too. So I think it's good to teach them to be business minded early on, so that there's a lack of a struggle, like an unnecessary struggle that's going to eventually take away time. And I also think that it's important to teach children correctly, especially when it comes to like their early on stages, because you don't want them conflicted later. So you don't want to teach them, hey, you need to go to school, get your education, go to college, get a degree, then get a job, and then they're lost in this kind of crazy economic world where job opportunities are not certain, and like definitely not certain, and currently kind of a mess. And they're going to be even worse by the time you know, a lot of these younger children who are coming up, by the time they're you know, older, it's going to be even worse for them. So you don't want them to be conflicted because they learned the system where they were just going to school, and they thought the education system was going to, you know, help them to be able to make a living wage and eventually raise a family and then do the same thing for them. You want to teach them about real wealth, because truly owning something, investing, and being, again, a franchise owner, which is owning something again, those things are really the main ways to create wealth in this world. You can have a job and you can be satisfied in your job, but if you're talking about creating real wealth, creating a net worth, and just understanding who you are, and the importance of owning something and being your own boss, then entrepreneurship and some of the other ways that I mentioned are the only ways to kind of get to that point. And a lot of times, like, you want to be able to save the time to do that as well too. I mean, like, struggle is important because struggle builds character, but there's a lot of unnecessary struggle as well too that a lot of people don't really touch on, and a lot of struggle that takes up a lot of time that you really don't have. Time is very short on this earth, so I think it's important to teach children because of that. Another thing I would say too is that you have to go, if you're a parent, you have to go the extra mile to be able to teach your children to own something, because essentially you should want the best for them. If not, you want better for them than you did for your own self, and what you learned in your life, so they can again do the same thing for their children as well too. They can basically want the best for them or better for them than they had, and then to do that by providing for them. So I guess to me, and I said this before in other videos, so I'm going to say it again. I feel like any parent that doesn't try at least to do anything to stress to their kids the value of owning something, or the value of being a business-minded person, or entrepreneurship, or anything related to real wealth, is selfish. And they're selfish because they haven't taken it upon themselves to actually make better for their entire family. And it's also selfish because to them, they made the conscientious choice that they didn't really want better for themselves. Therefore, their kids and their children are going to grow up in this mindset where they're going to struggle for those same things too. That's kind of selfish in my opinion, because they had a choice and they had a way out, but they're creating this kind of pseudo mindset that there is no real way out for, again, a person who, for a kid who's going to be growing up in the world. And I don't think that's right. But anyways, so I want to get into the topic kind of at hand here. So I want to start you off with a list here of just different ways or different businesses that children can start. And you probably can even do some of these with your children as well too. But these are all kind of like really simple, cost-effective ways that are things that they can do to kind of get their feet wet in the whole business world. So the first thing I want to talk to you all about is a lemonade stand. So, it's pretty generic. A lot of people think about lemonade stands. They don't really think business. They just think, there's just some cute kids kind of on the sidewalk in their neighborhood, and they're selling lemonade to a bunch of people who are just walking by. I mean, that's nothing big. It's just, something kind of like cute to do during the summer. But really, that cute thing is actually very business minded, and here's why. There's like a low startup cost, because the only thing that you're really paying for at that point are lemons, sugar, cups, maybe like I guess like a pitcher, and then like if you're creating a wood stand, you can get wood pieces, and I guess you would need nails to kind of like put it all together and things like that. But I mean, other than that, as far as a lemonade stand goes, you're not really paying that much money to, get it started up. But then if you have a neighborhood full of people who are always out all the time, and you have that stand out there for them, then you can, sell your lemonade for $1 or whatever it is, and people buy it, and then you can, take that money and you can end up like banking it. And when I say banking, I mean invested. I don't mean like put it in a bank or anything like that, because it's not really going to collect any interest from the money that you have. But anyways, we won't get too deep onto that. I just want to, emphasize the fact that you can actually make money from doing a lemonade stand. It's an easy thing for a child to do, and it's something that I feel like a lot of people would buy into, especially people who are like in the community, and they see these kids out there and they're trying to sell this lemonade, and they kind of want to support, because again they think it's cute, but really it's a business. And I think that it will be an interesting kind of mini business for a child to start. Again, very good way to get your feet wet. And what a parent can even do with their child, if they want to, is they can even set up maybe like a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet could include the things that they actually paid for, so their expenses. So lemonade, sugar, cups, and just things like that, and like a pitcher or whatever the items are. So count up your expenses, and then count up how much money that they made, put that on the spreadsheet as well too, and then see what the full profit was of everything that was done. So kind of give them a little bit of a starter sample of how like that business would work and how this would work, I guess, in comparison to like, a bigger scale business. So I think that's a good place to start. The second thing that I would say, and this one is like I think really cool, and I think a lot of children will like this, is a jewelry making business. So I think this one is pretty cool because it does a couple things here. One, it makes the child more creative because they have their ability to take beads and other little structures and put them together with strings and then create these pieces of jewelry that people are going to wear around their wrists and necks and things like that, which can be really cool. And then they can make it colorful and do all these things that are going to attract people to want to buy it. It's also fun as well too. So it doesn't put in the mindset that every business is boring. It gives business an idea, this idea of being actually fun and interesting and fulfilling, because a child is going to be fulfilled if they're building these necklaces or building these pieces of jewelry, and how fun it is, because children kind of have a vast imagination, so they can create things and they enjoy it as well too. So I think that this is something that would be cool, I guess, because again, you're establishing passion if you establish fun with it, because if it's fun to you, you're going to end up being passionate about it because you like doing it. So I think that's another thing to kind of consider, and that's something that's important in every business. And if a business were to fail, it would fail because that person doesn't have passion in it. So if you can see kind of what I'm doing here, I'm equating fun to passion to liking it. So that's, I think, important to establish in a child, is understanding what they like and what they're interested in, and if that thing sticks. The next thing I would say is it's a good interaction between parents and children. This is something you guys can do together. This is something that you guys can participate in, and then maybe like learn the business side of it again. So maybe you want to track the items that you spent money on, and then like how much profit you made. So maybe you spent money on beads, maybe you spend money on glue. I'm just giving an example. Maybe you spend money on like yarn, and maybe those were your expenses, and maybe your profit was whatever you earned from making those things, from the beads, and then from the glue, and then from the yarn, and all this other stuff when you were making your jewelry. And then you take that and you total it up, and you see how much you profited from doing everything that you did. So that's another thing that you can try to do. Another little mini business, I think that would be like really cool for both parents and kids to kind of get into. So you all should try that one out. Now let's go to another one. Sorry, I'm gonna kind of flip my notebook here because I had a couple different things I wrote down for you guys that I want to tell you all about again. So next thing is pet sitting. Now this is a cool one because it's always in demand, first of all. It's also cool because it teaches responsibility. And it teaches a child how to be held accountable for another life, basically. So when you, and I know that sounded dramatic, but I mean, it's the truth. I mean, you're being held accountable because if that's a pet, then that's somebody else's pet. So like you're basically, they're putting their trust in you to take care of this pet in a, well. So I think that it's also a good way to embrace care for animals. It's a good way to get exercise, especially if it's like a dog and you're walking the dog. So there's also a low startup cost. So the reason why I think this is a good one is because, again, it's a low startup cost. There's other benefits to it, like, being in shape, teaching responsibility, always having clientele in demand, because people love dogs, people love cats, people love animals, and then kids love animals too. So that's a good way to do business, because you're a kid who is interested in animals, who is possibly watching / taking care of these animals that people who generally are older adults have as well too. Maybe they're going on vacation, and like your responsibility is to watch them. I think that's a really good business right there, and then you'll get a lot of business. You'll get a lot more business even than I think the first two, because so many people are buying animals and raising animals because they like animals for comfort and they like animals for companionship. And I think like your startup costs would maybe be like, like the poop bags, and then maybe a leash if you need a leash if you have a dog or whatever it is, and then maybe gas to go over the person's house if you need to watch the dog or walk the dog, or if it's a cat, maybe you need to watch. Maybe they're comfortable with you being in their house and you watching the cat. So that's another thing to kind of consider, is that there's a low startup cost there, and there's not really too much money that you need to put up front. And then again, like you're gonna make a killing off of it because you could charge by the hour if you wanted to. You could charge a flat rate for whatever that person said. So I mean, it kind of just depends. And again, that's something that even a child and a parent could do together because a child could say, tell their mom, hey mom, like, I kind of want to do some pet sitting, and then the mom or the dad or whoever it is, whoever's the parent, can sit down with them, and then they can kind of help them come up with a business plan, and then and maybe even business cards, and then present it to other people either in the neighborhood or even online, and tell them about the services that they do, tell them what they would charge, so have their like rates available for the people as well too, and then kind of just go from there. And I guarantee you'll make more of a killing from doing pet sitting than a lot of the other stuff. The other stuff are kind of like beginner businesses. This might be like a real deal type of business that a child really could benefit from. So the next one I would say is babysitting. This one is extremely basic, and nobody even thinks of this one as a business, but truly and truly, it is a business. Yes, I said truly and truly because I wanted to make sure I emphasized how important it is that you see why this is a business. So I think that it teaches responsibility once again, just like with pets. I think that it teaches accountability again, and having someone at this point, not something or some animal, someone's life kind of in your hands, and taking care of them and things like that. There's always going to be clientele. So this again is very similar to pet sitting in the fact that there's always going to be people who are going to need to have their kids watched, and they maybe don't want to pay for a daycare. Maybe the local daycares in their area are very expensive. Maybe it's more cost effective for them to go to you and then your little business. And then like it's great for networking. It teaches you time management. It teaches you how to build a rapport, which is, I guess, in a way similar to networking, except on a like smaller scale. Networking itself is probably more macro. Building rapport is more micro because you're talking about maybe like one or two people or a group of people, whereas networking is just the idea of finding people to connect with. But anyway, so a reason why babysitting is a good one is because, and I think this may be for a little bit of the older kind of section of kids than it would be for the younger ones. Although the younger ones, I think, could be capable of doing it with the right teaching and the right maturity and the right level of care that their parents gave them. Again, I think that as far as babysitting goes, I think this is a really cool business because there's not really any startup costs other than maybe like time and gas. And again, like time is something you're going to have to invest in any of these, and then gas to maybe get to a person's house if you're driving there, if you're being driven there, and things like that. But I mean, ultimately, you're making money from essentially just watching some kids. I mean, mind you, some tasks maybe more difficult than others. And me myself, I'm not really a kid person. Like, and I guess I say this in meaning not what you think. The reason why I say I'm not really a kid person is because I have a hard time dealing, I guess, with the psychological idea of a parent not really raising their kid in a way that's mannerable, or is going to help them, or is going to basically not make them do something destructive down the line. And I can see that in a lot of like very bad kids. And if you ever go in a store, you see kids that are wild and things like that, and it kind of bothers me. Again, I guess that means that maybe I have more of an issue with the parent than I do with the kid. So I probably should kind of say it in that way. But I'm saying this, I guess I'm making a statement to say that this is one I think that it could be important for like younger kids, because they may not have that kind of psychological sense that I'm making to say that or why I wouldn't really want to deal with kids too much. And again, I think it goes back to my original point. It's as much as you would teach a child. So I mean, like, if you taught a child how to kind of think in that way, I think that at some point they'll probably pick that up. Again, you got to talk to them on the level that you want them to be talked to. But I think that for all practical purposes, and you're thinking about just the way people just view life as you get older. To me, I feel like I'll have a hard time dealing with like a kind of a bad child personally, because of the parents more than the child. But anyways, for anybody, I don't mean to get on a rant. I just had to kind of say that and specify that. But for me, I think that babysitting is a good thing for kids to kind of get into, a nice little business to kind of try out for themselves. The fifth one I want to talk to you all about is a greeting card designing business. Now, this one is good on a skill basis. Now, think about it. Like, you're using creativity, so you're promoting creativity in children. You're also like showing them how to use their skills, like on the computer or on some type of simulator that's going to allow them to create, I guess, like interesting little cards for people that maybe want them during some type of holiday or some type of event. So teaches them organization in a way. There's always going to be some type of like business available for it. So I mean, it could be Christmas, it could be for a graduation, could be for Valentine's Day, whatever it is. And then the thing is it's a good gimmick. Being a child and being able to create cards is a good gimmick because everybody is gonna kind of see the cheer and the joy and the passion that comes from a child and the kind of the innocence and the way that they express themselves and what they say on a card. It could basically warm anybody's heart. So there's always going to be business because it's a child, and because a child has such a great imagination, has such a pure heart, and that pure heart is going to be expressed on the card that they have. To me, I think it's a business that everybody will buy into. And again, it's low startup costs. Maybe printing, maybe one of them. That may be one of the most expensive because you're doing it all the time. Card stock is something you'll probably need. And you may need a little bit of computer skills here and there. But again, that's a good thing for a parent and a child to do together as a business-oriented family who can profit together one day. So there's that. The sixth one, and this one is really cool, but I think this one depends on where you're at. I would say, and I'm not going to say landscaping, but for this one, I would say snow and leaf removal. And this is why this one is really cool, because it helps the child get exercise. It helps a child to monetize basically their profits seasonally, and it helps them to be able to kind of like learn the business ways and work ethic and things like that. In other words, what I mean by that is you have to learn both sides to it. There's a lot of kind of like leg and arm work that kind of goes into it. There's also a lot of, I would say, like business related stuff that you have to kind of think about. In other words, you have to think about, your startup cost, of course, which will be like rakes and shovels and things like that. And then you have to think about your the fact that you may need business cards, because you may need to hand your business cards to other people to tell them, hey, I do like leaf removal, I do snow removal during these seasons, I have a telephone number and this and that. You may need to promote yourself on social media so that people know, what your services do, and then you have like your rates already for the people who like are looking to buy into your service. Again, I think this is better for maybe like I would say like Midwestern states, maybe a few states kind of going towards the mountain area, maybe a few in the South, but not very many. And then maybe some on the East Coast as well too. But this is typically for an area that experiences all four seasons typically. So if you live in Michigan like me, then you'll know that both snow and leaf removal are totally necessary, because fall has these beautiful leaves of all different colors falling from the sky, but they're all falling in a pile on your grass, and you need someone to rake them up to try to get the leaves up. And then there's tons and tons of snow here in Michigan, so there's always business for that. And kids are going to be hungry to try to get that out the way. So to me, I feel like that's a good way to make profits right there. And again, you can do the same thing that you did with some of these other ones. You can create a spreadsheet, and you can like show all the stuff that you invested in, which in this case it will be rakes and shovels and things like that, and maybe even business cards. And then the things that you made profits from, which in my opinion, if you live in Michigan, you will profit a lot. And I mean a lot from doing snow removal. And leaf removal, you'll probably do pretty well too, but I can guarantee you snow removal, you will do so well in Michigan, especially if you're in West Michigan. That's just how it is. But anyway, so I hope everybody enjoyed the video that I had and what I had to say to you all today about children in business. I just want to kind of encourage you, if you did like everything that you heard today, to subscribe to my channel, The Hustler's Perspective. If you want to see all the latest and greatest details on my Facebook page, then feel free to follow me at The Hustler's Perspective YouTube channel. If you want to follow me at my actual blog and see all the latest and greatest posts that I do there, you can go to hustlersjackpot.com. If you want to follow my actual Facebook page for that blog, you can go to the Hustlers Jackpot and you can type that in on Facebook. If you want to follow my business page on Instagram, feel free to follow me at the Hustlers Jackpot. If you want to follow me at my personal Instagram page, then you can follow me at Cool Colas. Again, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I hope everybody enjoys their day, and please continue to tune in, because I will be doing, again, and I want to kind of stress this to you guys so you all will get a chance to tune in. I will be doing a video a day, so for just this whole week. So you will see a video a day. So this will be mine for Monday, and I'm going to be doing it Monday through Sunday, basically. So again, I hope you guys really enjoy what I had to say. I hope you guys enjoy your day again, and I will see you all later. Keep hustling.